All right, hello, Calcio fans. Today it's just me. Anthony's out sick, so I'll go over it on my own. A lot of things happened this past week in Serie A, week 11. Milan and Napoli were battling for it last few weeks here. But now the tables have turned. Roma and Inter have taken top spot. They are tied now. We're going to go over some of the games, some of the big points, and round up the table. All right, here we go. Pisa Cremonese. Gilardino's men get the win over Cremonese. I like Gilardino. I think he's a good coach with a lot of promise, and I'm happy that he got the win here. I'm curious to see where his career goes, but a good, solid win, and he's got his Pisa team playing pretty compact, solid overall. They're not a great squad, but I think he's going to get the maximum of what he can get out of them. So their goal, of course, is going to be to stay in Serie A and just avoid relegation. I think he's going to do that. Next is Como versus Cagliari. I definitely am always pushing for Cagliari. Of course, I have a very strong Italian bias. I'm not gonna couch that at all. That's just my opinion. Como is definitely one of the better teams this season, and one of the ones that a lot of people are pulling for because they're very exciting, very new team. I think that they have a very solid team in general, but it's mainly the play style and the system that Fabregas has brought there that's been bringing them up. Of course, Nico Paz is by far their best player. When he doesn't have a sparkling game, they typically don't win, and we see a 0-0 tie. Cagliari is not an easy team to play. They've got a lot of solid players. Their goalkeeper, I think, Caprile is excellent, and I think Palestra on the right back is also very good. Two players I would be looking at if I were some of the bigger teams and wanting more reasonably priced talents, because their stock is only going to rise, and there's somebody to look at right now. I actually thought that, I think there was a goal called back on Cagliari early on for a foul earlier in the build-up, and I don't really think it was a big one, so I would say they were maybe a little bit hard done by, but overall 0-0 is a relatively fair result. I thought Cagliari played better. I don't think Como had a great game overall or a great showing, but they're definitely the team to watch for that kind of outside, more Cinderella story. Can they sneak into European spots? I think definitely. Can they sneak in the Champions League? I'm a little less confident on that. Next, we move to Lecce and Verona, 0-0 draw. We had 3 0-0 draws in a row: Como, Cagliari, Lecce, Verona, and then Juve, Torino. So Juve, Torino. Now they've got Spalletti there. Some people think this is going to make a big difference. Both me and Anthony don't really think this is going to make the biggest of differences. I don't think either of us wanted Spalletti at Juve. And look, even as a Milan fan, old Milan, not current Redbird Milan, which is a faux version of it. Even as that, I still want a strong Juve, because if Serie A is weak, then we look weak to the world on the world stage, and you can see it in our international play. It's not the strongest, so I do want a strong Juve, and this is not one. This is one of the worst Juves I've seen. I don't like a lot of the signings they've made the past 2 seasons. And I don't think that Spalletti is the coach. I think Spalletti is the type of guy you bring in when you already have a really solid team. You want to just make sure that you're qualifying for top 4, and you might catch lightning in a bottle. I don't think when you're trying to develop guys, you're trying to pull people along, that this is the type of team that Spalletti needs to take over. He's got a lot of pieces that just simply aren't good enough. I think the whole back line purely isn't good enough. I think Gatti is a decent sub. Kalulu may be a decent sub, but honestly, he's been pretty bad. Kelly should have no place on the team. I think Rugani is actually decent, but never gets any love because he's not a sexy name. And Bremer is out again, injured. So their defense is very rough right now. Definitely not characteristic of Juve, since that's been also a very strongly defensive team, and we just don't see any real big defensive quality there. Everybody was giving Mota flack about the ties. They were giving Tudor flack about the ties. Well, we have another one here. And it's not to a very strong team. It's against Torino. Now, Torino's feisty. They've always been. But this is at home. It's to Torino. It's not a must-win game. But if you want to make a statement, your first game in Serie A with Spalletti fully under his guard, where he gets to pick all of those guys. He's doing this experiment right now with Juve, where Koopmeiners is playing left center back. Really makes no sense. I guess you don't lose a lot in the defensive department because Kelly's not great anyways, and Koopmeiners probably has a little bit better delivery, but I don't know. I just think that it's not really doing anything. I don't think it accomplishes whatever he thinks it's going to accomplish. If he thinks you're going to get more long balls out of the back, more creativity, that's not really going to be happening. I think it's just purely a bad move. I would rather just put a defender there, just go and play Rugani at the very least, so you can lock that down and have the rest of the team be compact. I think they need to stop the Koopmeiners experiment, personally. I think he hasn't been good the whole time he's been at Juve. You're just trying to fit a player who clearly does not fit here. If you already had a great team, yeah, you could put in Coop and see what happens, but the team is not great. They need a person who can do more than what Koopmeiners can offer, and he's not going to carry the team. He's not that type of guy. In my opinion, he's an icing on the cake guy, and it's not good enough. So Coop, the experiment has to stop. I think he should be benched pretty much in perpetuity unless you have to play the guy. I would play the kids. I would probably change the formation a little bit, at least get 3 people in midfield. I would definitely start also playing Zagrova. You see, when he came on, the ball kept going to him. He's looking for the ball. He wants to actually create something. I feel like what I want to see, if I'm watching Juve, is I want to see Zagrova and Yildiz behind Vlahovic and see how that kind of front 3 pairing works. I think that's going to be a good change, and it's kind of weird that he's not getting minutes yet. I know that they've paid a lot of money for Conceição, but he's a very one-dimensional player. He's solid. He's solid for what he is, but he's not Juve level, and I think he'd be better off as a sub who can come on and run fast when there's tired legs. So that's how I would use him. Either way, pretty uneventful game. Juve, as you can see here, had a lot of shots, 17-7, but not really much doing. 5 on target versus 3 on target. Really not much there. And there were times that Torino still looked dangerous, so it was not like Juve played great here. So not a great performance from Juve. We'll see what they do in the future, but not good there. Okay, we move on. So we go from, let's see, gotta go all the way down, boys. From Juve, moving along to Milan Parma. So the game started off with a bang, pretty much. 12 minutes in, Salamakers gets a goal. Nice little move. Shot was good. I wouldn't say it was great. If you really look at it, it's more of Suzuki's error than it is Salamakers' brilliance. Although I've got to give it to Salamakers. I've always liked him. Hard worker, very shifty, excellent player. Puts in a shift no matter where you put him. I think he's an excellent piece of this team, and definitely showed his worth in this game. Both goals were a direct result of his work. First goal, though, if Milan is linked with Suzuki, and this has been a big link recently, just watch this game and you'll know exactly why you should never buy this guy. He has some great skill, so do a lot of keepers, but there's a lot of those intangibles that he just doesn't have. His focus wanes. He makes simple mistakes, which can lead to big chances or big goals. He's purely not good enough. That first goal and literally the game, you can kind of like tack onto that. If he wouldn't have let in this very simple goal, maybe Parma could have won the game. You never know. Probably not. You never know though. But take a goal away from Milan, the whole game changes. You take that early goal away, and the teams play differently. So you just never know. It was not very far away from him. It was kind of in between the center of the net and the post. It was nowhere near the actual post. So decent opportunity, but Suzuki was definitely lagging behind as far as focus and concentration goes. Second goal, Salamakers gets a penalty. Really nice movement inside the box. In my opinion, it shouldn't be a penalty, and that should never be a penalty, no matter who it is. Yes, there's minimal contact. Not enough contact to go down, not enough contact to affect the play. Where was Salamakers going with the ball? Nowhere. Basically out of the bounce or going out wide. And he was clearly inviting the contact. He just had to make sure he got to that ball first and just touched it so he got his leg there, and then hoping that there was contact. The second he felt that he went down, he dove. But I'll say this. In my opinion, while that should never, ever be a foul, I've seen it called time and time again this season. So, for consistency's sake, you do have to call that a penalty if you're going to keep with these Serie A rules. I wish it would all change. That was probably par for the course and well in line with what's been called this season so far. But still, to me, it shouldn't be a penalty. It is the right call, given how they've been calling it, but it's the wrong call for the quality of the game in the long run. Parma then comes back. So, you think that Milan is going to lock this up. They've got Allegri as their coach. It's 2-0. Things are looking decent. But, lo and behold, an amazing goal from Bernabe. Incredible curler. You can't really blame Magnan on that. The issue here comes from Pervis Estupinian. He goes to get the ball, is lax about it. He gets challenged off the ball. Who was the guy here? He had a good game. Britschke. This guy had a very solid game. So he shoves him off the ball, shoulder challenge, and Estupinian just gets worked. Which I'll get to my main point of this later. Passes the ball across to Bernabe, and in my opinion, he's been the brightest spark for Parma for 2 seasons now. I thought he's always had quality, and it's nice to actually see that he's kind of coming in his own here. But excellent shot, game is a little bit closer. Now we get into the 62nd minute, and it's a goal from Del Prato. And I think the ball also comes in from Britschke as well. So honestly, quite a good game from him. But the issue, a lot of people may blame Pavlovic, and yes, he could have picked him up too, but he was already marking somebody, I don't know who it was. The issue actually came from the late run from Del Prato, and what has been Milan's Achilles heel for a few seasons now is late run tracking. That's on Fofana. If you watch the replay, you'll see Fofana. That should have been his man. He doesn't track him, he's lazy, he doesn't get on him, and it's a pretty free header. Pavlovic could have picked him up maybe, probably should have been more aware, but that's mainly on Fofana. So 2-2, tie game. Yeah, and honestly, for most of the second half, Parma looked the better team. So Milan has been a very strange team. They'll look amazing in some games, especially against the bigger teams. Then against these kind of more small teams, like of course they lost to Cremonese, it's just they have not been looking good in these games. So I think, again, it's Pisa as well. They didn't look amazing either. Modric still excellent. He had a really nice shot that Suzuki fumbled and Pulisic almost buried. Milan had 2 massive chances as well. One from Pulisic, which he just didn't get enough curl on the ball to bury. He's also not super match fit. I think if he was in a little better form a few weeks ago, that would have been buried. And then people are giving Salmakers a lot of flack about not burying his one-on-one with Suzuki. He overcomplicated it. He dribbled too much. He let the Parma catch up. Yes, it wasn't great. However, Salmakers created the first 2 goals. He scored one, and he caused the penalty to get the second one. So can you really give the guy that much flack? He was probably one of the best players on the entire pitch. So I can't really give him too much flack for that. So I'm not really going to blame him. I thought De Winter was solid. Gabi has been super solid. In my opinion, he's currently the best defender in Serie A right now. He's been an absolute stalwart there. Ricci's coming into his own, but it's kind of a funky position for him. Now, he's been doing well in Rabiot's absence, but I don't really know if he's this kind of true Metzala. He can do it. He's putting a lot of work. I didn't actually know that Ricci was this much of a workhorse, but he's proven that he can do that role. He can pass, can shoot, can create, can help cycle, but I think he's really best as a true regista. He's very, very calm, very composed on the ball, and he can cycle it excellently. But when you have Luka Modric there, he's just going to kind of take that spot. It is what it is. You can't not play Modric. He's been best player in most games this season already. But they're working together. I'm curious to see how it looks if they replace Fofana with Rabiot when he's back and run those 3. We haven't seen that yet. Ricci, Modric, and then Rabiot. You can work in Yashari here and there when he gets more fit, but I'd like to see that combo work first and see how that does. Interesting stat, I read it on, I don't know, I think it was either Football Italia or Sempre Milan, but they wrote a stat about Rabiot and Fofana's importance. So it was basically saying that when Rabiot's on the pitch and Fofana's on the pitch, Fofana does way better. Reason being is Fofana gets less touches when Rabiot's on the pitch. When Fofana gets more touches, he's less effective, he's more damaging to the team, which I don't even know what's that trying to say is probably just that Fofana's not good enough, and that's kind of what I've seen. He's had a much better season so far when he had Rabiot and Modric in the same lineup, when he has more freedom to make mistakes because they'll cover up for him. This formation definitely fits him way better. Last season in a 2-man, it was not enough. He's not a D mid because he's not positionally sound. I'm just not the biggest fan. He plays a role. He's okay. I think he should be a sub in a good Milan team. I don't think he's good enough to be a full starter, but he's what we got right now. Allegri likes him, obviously, but I'd be curious to see either Yashari or Rabiot when Rabiot comes back for sure take that spot, or you can sub on Yashari for one of those 3 in midfield. Biggest issue for Milan was Estupinian and Nkunku. Nkunku is already showing to be a massive waste of, I believe, 43 million. If you look at who they bought Jimenez for, I believe, 35, something like that. and they bought Nkunku for 42, 43. You're looking at around 75 or so million spent on those two players, to neither of them be an amazing striker. You could have just bought Moise Kean even for the inflated price of 50, or gone out and bought a real striker for 70. But either way, you could even negotiate with Osimhen and try to at least convince him to come. That would have been a top class signing. But lo and behold, they didn't. They decided to get two jokers. Estupiñán, he's not good enough. They tried to replace Teo Hernandez. I mean, imagine Teo Hernandez in this team with Allegri. He'd be absolutely killer. So they sell him. They pick up Estupiñán. Estupiñán, he's just not a quality player. I think that he has a good left foot. He delivers a good cross. That's about it. He's very poor defensively. I don't think he really knows where to be positionally, and he's just not good enough. Bartoszagi is a young kid, and he's been outperforming him so far. In my opinion, Bartoszagi should be the out-and-out starter. Yes, he may have less experience, but I don't think he's any worse than Estupiñán. In my opinion, he's only been better. And on top of that, if you go through the growing pains now, you may have a stud in a season or two, and he's been playing great for the youth national team, and he's actually been playing quite well for Milan. He'll have his moments where he makes a mistake, but it's okay. He's a kid. He's going to learn. He's got to grow through these things. I think you must start him. He's already better. He's the best one you got out there, and you really could be developing somebody for the very near future. So that would be my call going forward. So that's it. Milan had a nice opportunity to secure top spot. Couldn't do it. We move forward. Actually, let's go to the screen here. Okay, next up, let's see. We got Atalanta Sassuolo. Now this was a domination by Sassuolo. 2 goals from Berardi. He's just good. He's good. He's solid in Serie A. Deserved a lot of flack for his performances for the Azzurri, but in Serie A and for Sassuolo, he's always been great. I think he should have been picked up by a bigger team a long time ago, and even if he only would be useful in Serie A, that's still a massive thing. Really good quality from him. I always like watching him play. And Atalanta looked awful, but we're gonna look at their roster, and I'll kind of show you what I'm thinking here. Let's pull this up here. Okay. Backline is a bit of an issue. Kosunu, Hien, Ahanor, not good enough. Ahanor is a young, promising talent that is not good enough at all. Karnasaki is top. Karnasaki, in my opinion, is probably the best keeper in Serie A right now. Him and Spila are probably battle out for that role. Who's at the top in Serie A right now? I think that's big teams should be looking at him right now. That defense is not good enough. It simply is not good enough. And when you're covered by just Ederson, who hasn't been on great form this season so far, it's still not good enough. Pasalic is okay there, but he likes to go forward more than he does defend. A two-man like that in the midfield is not going to cover up the poorness of that defense. Bellanova, Zappacosta, great side, great wing backs, totally fine. Samardzic, Lukman, Krstovic, I think that's actually a very good front line. When Scamacca is on form, he's the better striker, but he's been off form too. Both Krstovic and Scamacca, who, to be fair, is coming back from injury, had not been looking good. So Atalanta is really just not the same team right now, and I think we knew this back when Gasperini left. They're still a good enough team to get into Europe, and they should be. And I think that's a big reason why they fired their coach, Juric. They expected him to be like Gasperini light, and he's not. He's just not. Juric never really has a great relationship with all of his players. There's always some type of battle. He's just simply not good enough, especially after the season he had last season. I don't know why Atalanta went for him. There's many other options that they could have gone with. They did choose Palladino, which we'll talk about that in just a moment here. But to finish this off, I mean, their team is good enough to get far in here, but I just don't think that they're a great team. They sub on Jim City. Jim City does not have a good time for the Pinamonti goal. He's just an okay defender, but that's how they all are. Across the board, Atalanta just has okay defenders. Not a single one of them are considered good, in my opinion, besides Scalvini, and he's been injured again. So you can't really count him right now. Ahanor's young. I mean, he's got a lot of time on his side, so you can't count him to be some top defender right now. So we'll see. But this is not good enough from Atalanta. I think a coaching switch is very, very important because this team is good enough to beat Sassuolo. And if they're not doing it, something's wrong. Juric being fired is the right call. So, Palladino. I personally want him to go back to Fiorentina. I think that was the right call to kind of bring them out of the ditch. He's been there before. And the issues that he was having with management, some of those management people are gone now at Fiorentina. So I thought that would have been the best option was for Fiorentina to swallow their pride, bring him back, say, hey, you're building something very good here. The players obviously got along with you. It's time to continue that. That would have been great, but they didn't do that. Either way, this is a nice option for him. I think Atalanta is a good team. They've got a good amount of younger Italian talents on there too, and Palladino does stress that. I know he said that way he was coaching Fiorentina. He really wanted to bring about the younger Italian players, which I appreciate a lot, since that's very, very big for me. And I'm always looking to see which talents we can use to kind of promote to the national team. Atalanta has some, so we'll see. I hope Scalvini can stay healthy. Let's see what a player like Daniel Maldini can do if he gets more minutes. Let's see if Schumacher regains form. So very interesting. I do think that after a few games, Palladino is going to find his footing. I think he's a very good coach. I'm expecting pretty big things from him. But got to give him a little bit of time to get settled here at Atalanta. But good move overall. All right, we move forward. Bologna, Napoli. Now this one, my prediction was a tie because I just don't have the faith in Napoli right now. They've been stumbling a little bit for me. Just not really playing great, and you can't really count on McTominay to bail you out every single game. So that's what they've been struggling with, is just a little bit of form. They do have a lot of the guys coming back from injury. Rachmani's back, Buongiorno's back, Lobotka's back. A lot of these guys are back, but they're very fresh. They're only a few games in, so they haven't really caught form yet. I think when they do, the team is going to be fine because the spine is going to be very strong. But you're also missing Lukaku. And for people who gave him so much flack last season because he wasn't banging in goal for goal for goal, they forget the work he does. They forget the hold-up play and the players he brings into the game. And when you don't have that, they struggle, and they are struggling. Luka has not been good enough. Højlund started off okay, but once again, still not good enough. He can't hold up the play. And he's not super fast, but he's fast enough to get by the defense. He hasn't been amazing either. Not as involved as I'd like him to be. Conte is obviously starting to kind of say some stuff. This is kind of Conte 101. When stuff doesn't go well, drama starts. We'll see. I hope it can settle down because I really want him to settle in at Napoli. I think it's a really good fit for him for the next few years, but you never know. You can count on 2 years with Conte. You never know if you can count on more. I hope we see more, though. I think a lot of the criticism is overblown, though. They're still very close to in the top spot. And they're getting all the other players back, so we'll see what happens. Genoa, Fiorentina. Fiorentina finally had a chance to do something here and didn't. So you'd hope that they could do better. I don't love the appointment of Vanoli. I think he's going to be better than Pioli, of course, because I really didn't have any faith in Pioli. I think he's an incredibly poor tactician. But I want to see Vanoli actually run a proper lineup here. I want to put the right guys in the right spots. I don't want to see Pongracic anymore. I don't know how he keeps starting. He's never been good. But you need to be running the guys who were playing well. Komutsu had a great season last season. Now he's just being totally devalued, which, in my opinion, as a Milan fan, I'd love for Milan to kind of capitalize on that link and pick him up. So, yeah, fine, sit him. His value goes down. You buy him for cheaper, great. But objectively, for what I want, the Italian players to kind of step up and become good, and the promising ones to grow. Like, I would love to see Komutsu actually play, and I want to see him in the center of defense. I'd love to also see Viti get some minutes. Doesn't matter if he's on left or right. I think you at least have to try that combo. Ranieri, Komutsu, Viti, see how it goes. I know he's left-footed, but I'm sure he can play on the right side. He can't be any worse than Pongracic, who costs you either a massive chance or a goal every game. Going across the midfield, I don't dislike the lineup. Som has been okay. Calcio has been pretty solid. Mandragora has not had the season that he had last season, but he's an excellent player. I think he's a jack of all trades. Fortini and Doro are very, very solid as well. Gudmundsson, Piccoli, I think Gudmundsson had a better game. Piccoli looked very, very threatening as well. So I don't think your issue's there. I think midfield needs to be sorted a little bit, and defense definitely needs to be sorted. In general, though, the team just needs more passion, more drive. They need to believe. They need more belief, and I think that Palladino can accomplish a lot of that with the team. So hopefully this goes well. They are in, I believe, dead last, or at least close to it. And that's not where they should be. Fiorentina really should be challenging for that kind of 6th through 10th spot here. Ideally, kind of hopping up like 6th, 7th, 8th spot with the roster they have. It's incredibly surprising that Pioli's done that bad. I did not think he'd do well, but I definitely didn't think he'd do this bad. So, awful stuff from Fiorentina, but let's see if they can kind of climb out of the gutter here. All right, so we move on from Fiorentina to Roma and Udinese. Roma is a team that's been on fire. Inter as well has been playing well. They look very, very composed. They look consistent. Both these teams do. So Roma and Inter are the teams that have now taken top spot. Roma gets a nice 2-0 win with a goal from Pellegrini and Zangicevic, which is, I believe, his first goal ever for Roma. Really excellent cutback from Mancini. If you guys saw the goal, Celik passed it to Mancini, kind of towards the byline. Mancini almost looks like he's going to cross it to the middle with a driving pass, and doesn't. He actually cuts it back for Celik, and who bears a nice goal. So really smart. Roma's playing well. They're not allowing many goals at all. If you look at this, I mean, goals allowed 5. I mean, when the heck has Gasperini been like the defense guru? But he's obviously turning over a new leaf. I think this is huge. And this may be the difference between Roma truly challenging for the Scudetto or not, because as we know, the team with the best defense oftentimes wins Serie A. So that means that automatically they're going to have a shot at this thing. So well done for Roma, making this a really tight race. Now we move on to Inter. Inter has been cruising. Inter Lazio, the team who's been struggling, stumbling. Sarri just can't find his footing. Not really in the best situation since they couldn't spend in the Mercato. Still have Rovella out injured, but their team is decent overall. It's a solid enough team to compete with almost anybody out there. Inter, however, is just a different level. DiMarco I thought was great. I don't know if that was an intentional or lucky goal from Lautaro, but good on him. Good shot there, if it was a shot. And then Inter just dominated. Like, if you just watching the game, they just look better. They're more threatening. If you look at it, it doesn't look that crazy, just 2 shots on target. But in my opinion, when I was watching it, Inter looked more threatening. Lazio is still a good team. I think that there's more that they can do. They're probably going to float in this range. They're 9th. They might challenge for Europe. I don't know. I think that some other teams are going to have a little more legs. Like if Atalanta can kind of catch fire again, or at some point here with Palladino, maybe they can hop. Como is going to be a strange team. They can throw things off, and it is incredibly surprising to see Sassuolo up so high because they didn't have the best starting first few games, and now they've been excellent. So Lazio, a bit disenchanted with them. I don't like the Sarri appointment. I don't think it's a bad appointment, but I don't know. I don't think that's a good enough team for him. I think Sarri is very specific. And if he doesn't have perfect players for his system, he's not going to do well. So I don't think Lazio is going to be the style of team for him. So I think he'll struggle this year. Inter looks good. Great goal from Boni. Excellent cross from DiMarco. He really threaded it. He's been playing very well, which is nice because we are about to go to the international break very, very shortly, in about half week here. So incredibly important that he's got on his A game, since if he is, he's a massive weapon. But yeah, Inter keeps cruising. They are now tied top spot with Roma. They do have a bigger goal differential because simply they've scored a lot more. They've scored 14 more goals. They've let in 7 more, but they scored 14 more. So they're in first, Roma second, and Inter keeps moving. Okay, we'll do a little table update. We'll go into the next matches of the week, looking forward, and go from there. So Inter and Roma are saying tied at the top, only separated by goal differential, but those are the 2 most informed teams for sure. Milan has not been bad. They're not really losing games, but they are tying and drawing games that they shouldn't be. But even in these sloppy games, they're getting a result, and I do believe that's simply due to Max Allegri. He's the master of winning dirty. He's the master of winning when the game is boring and you think that nothing's going to happen. He'll just make it work. So, and once they get Rabiot back, I think it's going to make a big difference. Pulisic is getting healthy. That's going to make a big difference too. Those 2 guys are crucial for Milan, and they're about to be back. So, Napoli next. Been struggling a little bit. Let's see what the drama holds, because if the drama explodes a little bit, if Conte becomes a little bit more wild, as he's done sometimes in the past, starts calling people out, starts saying stuff in public there, or in the press conferences, that may not bode very well for the team. However, I do trust Conte. I think he can stop the slide before it goes far, because they're only within 2 points. I mean, it's 1 game. So criticism is a bit overblown. I just don't like the trends I'm seeing the past few games. they've been struggling a little bit, especially if you combine Champions League plus Serie A. Bologna. I don't know. I've got to give a ton of credit to Vincenzo Italiano. It's something that Anthony and I talk about all the time, where Italiano has failed a lot, right? But he's also done a ton with getting Fiorentina to a couple of finals. And yes, he lost them, but still, they're there. He's putting in the work. He's not repeating this at Bologna. He's got a team who, in my opinion, is not a very good team, playing so high level. They're in 5th place right now. It's super impressive, and if he keeps this up, Italiano may be the most promising coach in Serie A. He's been very consistent. He's been working on defense, which was a big knock of his earlier on, but getting better. And his system and players are playing excellent, and no matter who he puts in, they play similar. So that's a really good sign. Juve in 6th place, 19 points, still not very far out, 6 points out, but they just have not looked good. I think Juve they're in need of some type of a change, and the change is not Coop Miners on defense. That's not the change. They need creativity. I think you've got to go Zagrova and Yildiz behind Vlahovic. You may want to run like a 3-man mid 2 or like a 5-3-2. I don't know. But you could run Locatelli, Thuram, and McKennie, with Locatelli playing Regista, and Thuram and McKennie have a little more freedom to kind of go for an attack and support it. It's possible. Or you put an Azic there, and as opposed to McKennie. So you can do that to kind of fix your spine. Defense needs to change as well. I don't think that it's any point in playing Coop Miners. So that's my take for Juve. Talk about the other teams already. Let's go now into the next week of matches for a preview. Okay, the next set is going to be match day 12. We start with Cagliari Genoa. This should be a pretty good battle here. I believe that De Rossi has now taken over at Genoa. I'm very curious to see his progress. It'll be at home to Cagliari, so it'll be a very tough place to play to start off with. I think Cagliari takes it, maybe 1-0, close game. Udinese Bologna, I've got to put the faith in Bologna right now. They've been very good. Udinese is one of those bugaboo teams, though they play so physically, you never know. I do think that Bologna will prevail. Close game, though, also 1-0. Fiorentina, Juve. Now, in the past, this would be a very, very close game, and actually, I'm going to stretch that. This is probably still going to be a close game. Both teams are struggling. It may get a little bit sloppy. I'm going to go 1-1 draw. 1-1 draw. Maybe Fiorentina pulls it off and gets a 2-1 here, but I could also see Juve walking away with it. So my fair opinion will be a 1-1 draw. Napoli, Atalanta. Two teams that are stumbling a little bit. It's at Napoli. I got to go Napoli win. 3-1. Maybe 3-2. Verona, Parma. Don't know. I'm not going to predict that one. I don't really follow too much, but 2-1 Verona. 2-1 Verona. Cremonese, Roma at Cremonese. Cremonese has been a hard team to play against, but Roma, I think, is on fire. But they have been winning very close games, 1-0, 2-1. I think it's going to be much of the same, 2-1 for Roma. Lazio versus Lecce. It's at Lazio. I got to go 2-1. I think that some of the players like Isaacson and Cancellieri, while they share time, they've been pretty excellent every time that they've played. So those are definitely some weapons there. The big game of the week is, of course, the Milan derby, the Derby della Madonnina. Inter versus Milan. So it comes at a pretty big time, because if Milan wins, they jump Inter on the table. If Inter wins, they put a little bit of daylight in between them. And a tie could very well happen. The San Siro. This is going to be close to the end of it, because they did get to go ahead and build a new stadium with Inter. So this will be one of the final derbies that played there. So hopefully it's a special match. I don't know if Rabiot is going to be back on time, but that would be crucial. Pulisic should be there, and they should have most players. I wouldn't expect a much change lineup. I really would want to see anything different than Nkunku. Even if you got to put Loftus-Cheek up there just to kind of be a body. He's stronger. He can play as more of a point man, even though he's not. He's a midfielder, but he can do a role, whereas Nkunku has not looked good. And I don't want to see Estupiñán. I want to see him benched and Bartasaghi in. That'd be my call for Milan. Inter's been in good form. Milan's been in okay form. But it seems when they play big games, they've been quite good. So I'm going to go Milan, Inter. Hate to be boring, but I got to go 2-2 draw. Torino, Como. I think that actually that Como is going to barely pull this one off 2-1, but it's going to be a very close game. Sassuolo Pisa, I got to go Sassuolo. They've been looking very good, especially Berardi's now on form. And Pisa still, a relegation side team, or battling for it at least. I got to go 1-0, 2-0, 2-0. Sassuolo. Okay. That is it for the games of the next match day, number 12. We'll be back with a little bit of the national team preview. Gattuso made his selections, and we'll go over those, let you know what we think. Good selections, bad selections. We'll break them down: keeper, defenders, midfielders, attackers. See who we'd actually want to bring. Do we agree with all those spots or not? And what the next two matches are going to bring. If you can, take a second, like, subscribe, comment, do what you do. If you have any questions about anything, shoot them down below. Take care, guys. Thank you for watching. Amos will be back next time, and